continue to learn new details about the heartbreaking abduction and murder of 8-year-old Cherish Perrywinkle in 2013.
Warning. To all my viewer, what you're about to watch is a true story. It contains material that may be disturbing to some viewers. This program, not to sensationalize violence or tragedy. Viewer discretion is advised.
Jackson 911 Robinson.
Hi, that woman. I'm interested in taken.
What do you mean?
Taken by a stranger. I can't find her.
On June 21st, 2013, a warm summer night settled quietly over Jacksonville, Florida. The air was thick, the streets were calm, and for most people it was just another ordinary Friday evening. There were no warning signs that night, no alarms, no raised voices, no sense that something irreversible was about to unfold. Rain Perrywinkle was a single mother. She lived on the margins, balancing responsibility, exhaustion, and survival every single day. She did not have much, but she had her daughters, and to her they were everything. That evening, Rain took her 3 girls out to shop, not for luxury, not for pleasure, but for necessity. Clothes that fit, items that could be bought cheaply, things that mattered when money was scarce. Her oldest daughter was Cherish Perrywinkle, 8 years old, small for her age, soft-spoken, that made her trusting of adults. Cherish was the kind of child who followed rules, who stayed close to her mother, who believed that grown-ups were there to help. It was there that a man approached them. His name was Donald Smith. Smith appeared ordinary, middle-aged, calm, polite. He did not raise suspicion at first glance. He struck up a conversation with Rain, casual, friendly, non-threatening. He told her that his wife had a gift card, that she wanted to help buy clothes for the girls, that she was waiting at a nearby Walmart. It sounded generous, unexpected, but not impossible. Rain hesitated, but she was tired, and she was struggling. And in that moment, the offer felt like kindness rather than danger. She agreed. The family followed Smith to a Walmart a short drive away, a massive store, open late, busy enough to feel safe. Security cameras would later capture what happened next. Footage that would be replayed countless times, frame by frame, second by second. Inside the store, Cherish walked alongside Donald Smith, her small figure next to his taller frame. A child, trusting an adult who had no right to her trust. Rain continued shopping with her other daughters, trying to finish quickly, believing Cherish was safe, believing she was only a short distance away. Smith told Rain he would take Cherish to the McDonald's inside the Walmart so she could eat, so Rain could finish shopping without distraction. It sounded reasonable. It sounded harmless. Minutes passed. Then more minutes. Rain finished checking out. She looked toward the McDonald's. Cherish was not there. She waited. She searched. She asked questions. An hour passed. By 11 o'clock that night, panic had set in. Rain Perrywinkle dialed 911, her voice shaking, her words rushed.
He wanted her to buy these really tall shoes that were women's shoes, and I told him no. I said they're too high for her. I wouldn't even wear shoes that high. Maybe he was grooming her. I hope to God he doesn't kill her, and I hope to God he doesn't rape her.
Telling the dispatcher that her daughter was missing, that a man had taken her, that something was very wrong. Security footage would later show the moment everything was lost. Donald Smith walking out of Walmart, Cherish beside him, following quietly. trusting completely. They walked toward a white van parked outside. That was the last time Cherish Perrywinkle was seen alive. As the night stretched on, law enforcement mobilized. Officers reviewed surveillance. Witnesses were interviewed. A timeline began to form. By morning, the urgency was undeniable. An Amber Alert was issued across the state of Florida. Cherish's name, her photo, her description broadcast everywhere. Parents held their children tighter. Communities watched the news, hoping, praying. Police tracked the white van to a nearby church parking lot. Inside the vehicle, Donald Smith was found asleep. He was taken into custody without resistance, but Cherish was not with him. A search began in the surrounding area: wooded land, dense brush, quiet spaces where no child should ever be. And then, the discovery. Cherish Perrywinkle's body was found not far away. The investigation would soon reveal details so disturbing that even veteran detectives struggled to speak about them. The morning after Cherish Perrywinkle disappeared, Jacksonville woke up in shock. News spread quickly. An 8-year-old girl taken from a Walmart in the presence of her own mother by a man who had walked freely among them. Detectives worked through the night, reviewing surveillance footage again and again, every angle, every shadow, every movement frozen in time. The images were clear, too clear. Donald Smith entering the store, Donald Smith walking beside Cherish, Donald Smith leaving with her. There was no doubt about who had taken her. What remained unknown was what had happened in the hours that followed. When police questioned Smith, his behavior was disturbingly calm. He spoke slowly, deliberately, as if choosing which truths to reveal and which to bury. At first, he denied harming Cherish. He claimed she was safe, that he had dropped her off, that there had been a misunderstanding. But the evidence did not support his story. Phone records placed him near the location where Cherish's body was later found. Cell tower data traced his movements minute by minute. Witnesses reported seeing his van parked near wooded areas late into the night.
It's not there anymore, but we don't know if he dumped anything because we heard a girl just got abducted from Walmart.
And forensic evidence began to tell a story that words could not soften. The medical examiner's findings were devastating, so disturbing that many details were withheld from the public. Investigators later described the crime as one of the most horrific they had ever encountered. Cherish had suffered unimaginable trauma, and she had endured it alone. As the investigation unfolded, attention turned to Donald Smith himself, who he was, where he came from, and how he had been allowed back into society. Smith's criminal history was extensive, violent, repeated, escalating. He had been convicted of armed robbery, sexual battery, and violent assault. He had spent decades cycling in and out of prison. Yet despite repeated warnings, despite assessments labeling him a danger, Smith had been released once again. Just 3 weeks before Cherish was taken. 3 weeks of freedom. 3 weeks of opportunity. Investigators discovered that Smith had deliberately targeted Rain Perrywinkle. He had watched her, observed her vulnerability, noticed her financial struggle. He exploited kindness. He weaponized trust. The offer of help was not spontaneous, it was calculated. Security footage from the Dollar General showed Smith lingering, watching, waiting, choosing. This was not a crime of impulse. It was predatory. As prosecutors began building their case, they focused on one undeniable truth. Cherish had never chosen to leave. She had been taken. The charge list grew. kidnapping, sexual battery, first-degree murder. The community demanded answers. How could this happen? Why was a man like Smith free? Who was responsible? Rain Perrywinkle struggled under an unbearable weight of guilt. She replayed the night over and over in her mind. Every decision, every word, every moment she had trusted the wrong person. She would later say that she never imagined evil could appear so ordinary. As the case moved toward trial, prosecutors prepared to present evidence that would leave a courtroom silent. Video, audio, data, facts that told a story of deliberate cruelty. The defense had little room to argue. The timeline was clear, the trail unbroken. Donald Smith had taken Cherish Perrywinkle, and he had killed her. But justice, as always, would take time. Years passed before the case finally reached a jury. And when it did, the world would once again be forced to look directly at what had been done. The jury deliberated knowing the gravity of their decision. This was not only about guilt, it was about punishment. In 2018, Donald Smith was found guilty on all counts: first-degree murder, kidnapping, sexual battery. The verdict echoed far beyond the courtroom. When the sentence was announced, the room stood still. Death. For some, it was justice. For others, it was simply the end of a long nightmare. Rain Perrywinkle listened as the sentence was read, a mother who had lost the unthinkable. She spoke later about regret, about trust, about how one moment changed everything. The case ignited national outrage. Questions were raised about parole systems, risk assessments, and how many warnings had been ignored, how many chances were too many. Cherish Perrywinkle became more than a victim. She became a symbol of vulnerability, of innocence, of the cost of systemic failure. Her story changed policies, changed conversations, changed how parents viewed safety in public spaces. But no reform could bring her back. She was 8 years old. She loved her family. She trusted adults. She should have been safe. Her life ended not because of chance, but because evil was allowed to walk free. In the end, this case is not only about a crime. It is about how quickly normal can become nightmare. How a single decision can carry irreversible consequences. And how the smallest lives leave the deepest impact. Cherish Perrywinkle was 8 years old, and her name will never be forgotten. If you believe this story deserves to be remembered, please like, share, and subscribe. Not for attention. So, her memory and others like her will never be forgotten. I'll see you guys in the next Unwanted True Crime story.